Okay. We are talking about Alaskan memories. I'm Peggy Simingson.
I'm Carol Medeiros.
And it's my mother's birthday today. So happy birthday.
Thank you.
So I have a list. I think people might be interested in hearing about Alaska. And we've never really talked about Alaska much, not too much, except when it gets cold. And so this is my journal. And so I made a list, and I was thinking about we lived in a couple of shacks growing up. We live in kind of, middle-class townhomes. We always have lived in condos and townhomes for some reason. But we wanted to discuss this gray house, and then also the fact that we went and got our water from a nearby town, just to kind of show you how rugged the life was. And I remember some of the water holing, and I do remember the gray house, and then I remember that it caught fire, you told me. So can you talk about what you remember about that?
Oh, okay. There was a big furnace down in the basement, which was our source of heat, which didn't work very well, and something like a 400-gallon oil fuel tank right next to it. And somehow it caught on fire. The house was just a shack.
Yeah, it really was.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
And it caught on fire downstairs. So I immediately carried the children out, laid them on the cool grass outside, went back and got the other one, and then it went back in, and it was just blazing. I don't know how the fire department got there so fast, but they did, and put it out for us. And then we went down to my mom and dad's house.
Yeah, and they kind of lived in a shack too. A nicer shack.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you remember about the gray house? As a child, I didn't know any different.
It was so remote from the other houses, and it was small. It was hard to heat. It was uninsulated is the main problem. So I would curtain off just the bedrooms and the living rooms so we could have a chance at keeping it warm. And I had loads and loads and loads of wood brought in.
Oh yeah, we would put our hands on our mom's stomach to stay warm.
Yeah, we had to, because it was easy to get frostbitten with your fingers. And I don't know anything that hurts worse than frostbite on your fingers.
I think I remember my hand getting stuck to something once.
It did, and we had to get it off.
Yeah, so that's a hazard of living in Alaska, is watching out for frostbite. How did you get my hand off the truck?
Just very slowly, very gently. I didn't use any water, but it was one of the scariest things I've ever had.
Yeah, I think one of my earliest memories, so must have been at that gray house, I think I remember.
I think it was.
So we survived. And let's see, how long did we live there?
We lived there about a year, solidly a year. There were the good parts that I remember was we had blueberries more than we could pick.
Yeah, I remember the blueberries.
We had blueberries, and we had solitude. It was quiet. It was like a snowy oasis for us.
Did we see any animals around?
We did. We saw fox and moose.
Okay, yeah.
Sled dogs that I wasn't sure were wolves or sled dogs.
Oh, wow.
Wasn't sure about that.
And I think there was a lot of trees around.
Yes, it was. It was very secluded.
How far from Grandma Elaine's house were we?
It was about a mile.
Okay, so that's a little ways.
On a rough road.
Yeah, I'm glad we got out of there. I think that was the shackiest house we've ever lived in.
It was. It really was. And we got out of there and went down to Fairbanks to live.
Yeah, Civilization in Fairbanks. And then Elaine lived in her house, the original house, for how long?
30 years.
Okay, Elaine's my mother's mother.
12 Mile Village.
Yeah, and North Pole is actually called 12 Mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 Mile Village. So what else do you remember about that area?
Well, we hauled our water.
Oh, yeah,
Peggy,
we were talking about that. Vaguely, yeah.
We would go out to Fox where the water was crystal clear and tested a lot for purity, and it was always pure. And we'd go about once or twice a week, and we'd take a 5-gallon jug or maybe an old milk carton jug that was rinsed out, and got in line. Everybody was cheerful and friendly and joyous, really, doing something so simple as getting your water.
So even back then in the 70s, I was born in 73, my sister and I remember the water smelling strongly of sulfur all over Fairbanks.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't know who else did it, but we had to go elsewhere to take, I don't know if anyone else had the same water issues, but at my grandma's house, we went elsewhere to shower and we had to haul the water. And did she use the water to do dishes with?
She used the regular water to do dishes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she boiled it first.
Okay. Yeah, it was really problematic.
Yeah, it was.
What did we put the water in at Fox? I remember big plastic jugs.
Those white plastic
like
5-gallon, kind of heavy.
Yeah.
And then old milk cart, rinsed out milk cartons. Anything you could find, you put your water in it.
And what was it like up at the Fox? What did they call it?
I think they just called it the Fox water hole. And there was a little bridge there you could stand on and talk to people when you were waiting to fill your jug.
Yeah, and so that's what I remember about Alaska is kind of like we're all in this together kind of mentality. Like there just wasn't a snobbery.
No.
It was like, we're not poor. We're just getting our water,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I like that humbleness and pulling together, can-do attitude.
I do too. We didn't see that much in Southern California.
No.
It's the opposite. Dog eat dog. But, not to say that everybody was perfect up there.
Yeah, that's true. It was a struggle in many ways.
Yeah, definitely. And so we survived a lot of winters, but I think North Pole was the hardest living.
I think so too. The remoteness and you have the stability of stabilizing factors of the two bases, Fort Wainwright Army Post and Eielson Air Force Base. And so we had access to both of those through my parents.
Yeah, that was helpful. A lot of military up there. Well, good. Anything else you want to mention about the Gray House or water?
No, just that it was a challenge. And another thing about Alaska, nobody seems to feel sorry for themselves if they have a challenge.
Yeah.
So we did that too. We fell in line with that, which I think was helpful to survive. Yeah,
and I think people share survival tips, don't they?
They sure did. Like curtaining off the doors and taping the windows with that Visqueen. I believe it was Visqueen.
Yeah, and then also my grandpa would prepay his heat bill for the entire winter.
He did.
Preparing.
He did.
And then I remember Lane and Hardy, my grandparents would put army blankets nailed to the wall. Is that right?
Yes.
Of at least the front door area and maybe elsewhere.
And that was helpful, remarkably so.
Yeah, so staying warm and clean water, I think, are basic steps, at least to when you stay inside. Driving on the road's another matter. But yeah, those are my earliest memories of Alaska. And I think we gradually improved after the Gray House.
We did. Yeah,
our housing anyway.
Certainly did.
Yeah, so staying warm is key. And then we want to show, we're not going to put them on, but my grandpa was always sending us items from Alaska. So Alaskans are pretty proud of being an Alaskan.
Yes.
So that's why we wanted to make this video, to remember that past life. So anything else?
Well, I just might add that if you go to Alaska, you might want to try to go in July.
Oh, yeah.
Because June has the famous mosquitoes.
Ooh.
In August, it starts getting a little coolish and rainy. So if you can plan when you want to go, July.
July's good. And they're ready for the tourists. They sort of thrive on the tourism. So yeah, and mosquito is the state bird. I don't think literally, but we'll talk about mosquitoes another time, how to protect yourself. So, well, thanks.
Yeah,
and happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you, Peggy.